Welcome, Kleschka Crew, to Week 16 of Kleschka Picks. If you've been watching the videos recently, you know I've been a little under the weather. For myself, my family, the loved ones around me, I had to make sure it wasn't Rona. You know what I'm talking about. COVID. And thank goodness, your boy tested negative. I do not have COVID. It's just that winter sickness. Whew. Now let's talk about the three pictures behind me and why they are here. Cooper Kupp, you have been an MVP for me in fantasy this season. Thank you so much. He did it again this week. DK Metcalf, even though he has been terrible in recent weeks, the last two catches he made at the end of the game advanced me to the next round of playoffs. And if we're not talking about fantasy football, just talking about my Seahawks in general, this was the most BS no call I've ever seen. It was clearly PI. Anyways, let's get started with Kleschka Picks. 12-4 last week, 154-69 on the regular season. Your boy is killing it. 49ers and Titans. The 49ers, they beat the Falcons last week. Big scoring game for them. When Deebo Samuel is on the field for that team, they are a whole better team, a whole different team. And the Titans, they played the Steelers, tried to go for it on fourth down, and they were stopped short. Steelers got the victory. Their defense was great for them in that game. And this week, the Titans, they just seem like they cannot figure it out without Derrick Henry. They don't know what to do. The 49ers, when they have Deebo Samuel, they become much more of a threat, and they have been on the uphill in the later part of the season. So, in a close one, I'm going to give it to the 49ers beating the Titans just because the Titans can't seem to figure it out, and the 49ers, when they have Deebo, seem like they have it all figured out. So, give me the 49ers winning 24-20. Packers and Browns. The Browns lost a heartbreaking one against the Raiders. Seemed like they had it sealed up, but they gave the Raiders another chance, and they lost. The Packers, they were able to hang on thanks to coaching by Baltimore. They got the win. Green Bay is looking scary here at the end of the season. Cleveland is not looking scary really at all, especially going up against the Packers in this high-powered offense. I believe Aaron Rodgers, Devontae, and Aaron Jones are all going to have a big day, and Cleveland is not going to be able to catch up. So give me a big offensive display, winning Green Bay 40-17. Colts and Cardinals. The Cardinals lost to the Lions last week. I don't even know. Football was weird last week. I cannot believe that happened. And the Colts, they beat the Patriots. Their big, scary defense did not scare Jonathan Taylor. That man had himself a day. He capped off the victory with a big run and score to end it. And this could be a very good matchup. And I don't really know how it's going to go. What Cardinals are we going to get? Are we going to get the ones where Kyler Murray's going off, making the whole team an absolutely offensive, scary unit? Or are they going to perform like they did last week against one of the NFL's worst teams? Will Jonathan Taylor just keep having this MVP push that he's been doing this whole season? I don't know. I think it's going to be close. I really think it could fall either way, but the Cardinals seem like they're falling down in stock, and Jonathan Taylor just looks like he can lead this team, and the Colts defense is good enough. I think the Cardinals are going to struggle, and I think Jonathan Taylor will pop off once again. So give me the Colts beating the Cardinals 27-23. And since we were just talking about Jonathan Taylor and the Colts, I just beat Javi in fantasy football. I know he's probably watching Kleschka Picks because he tells me how excited he gets for it every week. Take that, Javi. He talks so much smack, and I feel like I can finally do it because I beat you. I advanced in playoffs, and I swept him throughout the whole season. He didn't beat me once. I played him 3 times, beat him every single time. Rams and Vikings. The Rams played my Seahawks, got a win. I love seeing Cooper Kupp go off in fantasy, but when it's against my favorite team, it hurts a lot. And the Vikings, they won against the Bears, but I really don't think they would have won that game against any other NFL team. The Bears were the definition of choking in that game. Every time it seemed like they had an opportunity, they would lose it. And this week, the Rams, they played our Seahawks team that really didn't have a good offense last week. Russell Wilson seemed like he was playing like Zach Wilson all of a sudden. And I don't think the Vikings are going to be able to go back-to-back weeks with that kind of effort and get a win. The Rams have a better defense. Their offense can explode. So I think the Rams are going to do just that, and I think they're going to beat the Vikings 31-23. Chargers and Texans. The Chargers lost in overtime against the Chiefs last week. They also had plenty of opportunities that they just sold the bag on. And the Texans, they beat the Jaguars. I think the Chargers are going to bounce back against this bottom of the barrel team in the Texans. Look for the offense to explode. Justin Herbert to just continue to be one of the best young quarterbacks in the NFL and tear apart this defense. And I don't think the offense of the Texans will be able to keep up. So give me the Chargers winning 30-20. Lions and Falcons. Lions, you got another win on one of the better teams in the NFL. I cannot believe it. And the Falcons, they lost to the 49ers. I actually think this week the Lions could do it again. They got a younger quarterback. Matt Ryan is getting up there in age, and the rest of that team can't really help him. Cordero Patterson's like the only guy that knows what he's doing in Atlanta. And it seems like Detroit has been on a roll, and against another team that is at the bottom, I think this is going to be a funny matchup since both of these teams really aren't playing for anything. So give me the Lions actually winning again, 27-23. Ravens and Bengals. The Ravens actually made it a competitive game against the Packers with backup quarterback Tyler Huntley, but they lost again, trying to go for a 2-point conversion to win the game, and they did not get it. That is the second time that has happened this season. And the Bengals, they beat the Broncos in a low-scoring affair. And I did just look up if Lamar Jackson will return to action this week. He is still not practicing, which means Huntley will probably be the quarterback again. And if that's the case, I don't think him and that offense are going to succeed and keep up with the Bengals. Even though they were able to do that against the Packers, I don't think it's going to happen 2 weeks in a row. I think the Bengals defense is going to step up, and I think Joe Burrow and the offense is going to have a good day. Even though they're a little banged up, they do have some injuries, I still think they are the better football team, and I think the Bengals win 33-20. Panthers and Buccaneers. The Panthers, they lost to the Bills last week, and the Buccaneers got shut out by the Saints. I know Tom Brady was missing basically his entire offense. They just can't beat the regular season Saints for some reason, and I do not think that'll happen again, especially against the Panthers. I think Tom Brady is a guy that will shake that off and learn from it and then come back with revenge the week after, and that has to be the Panthers this week. And I think the defense will also help out. I mean, they held the Saints last week low scoring, only 9 points. So all they really have to do is just score, and they'll be fine. And I think that's what Tom Brady will be able to do this week. I think the Buccaneers beat the Panthers 33-14. Bills and Patriots. The last time we saw these two teams play each other, it was the worst weather game in the season, and the Patriots basically beat the Bills by only running the ball. I could not believe it. It should be a more normal football game this week. Bills won last week, by the way. Patriots, they lost to Jonathan Taylor and the Colts. And this time, I think the Bills learned their lesson. I don't think they're going to let that happen again, especially probably because the Patriots are going to pass more this time. And I think the Bills defense will do good. And Josh Allen, he didn't do the best, but he did not do the worst the first time he faced the Patriots, and that was in terrible weather. So I think he'll step up this time, and I think they got it figured out, and I think they'll win a close one against the Patriots, 24-20. Eagles and Giants. The Eagles beat the football team last week. Jalen Hurts returned to a somewhat good game, and the Giants, they lost to the Cowboys, the defense being a nightmare for them. And this week, I think that the Eagles are going on the right track. I think the Giants just cannot find their way, and they're not really looking forward to much the rest of the season anyways. So I think Jalen Hurts is going to continue to get on a roll. He's going to find that game that he had a couple times this season. He's going to dive into it, and he's going to be able to win and get that offense going. And I think he'll do it with his legs, his arm, and I think the Giants offense will not be able to keep up with all their injuries, especially at the quarterback, because no matter really who they're throwing in there, it doesn't seem like it's working. So give me the Eagles winning 27-17. Steelers and Chiefs. The Chiefs got a win in overtime last week against the Chargers. Game-winning touchdown to Travis Kelce. And it's starting to look like the Chiefs might be finding themselves again, but they may be without Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce this week because of COVID. And the Steelers, they won against the Titans, made a late stop on 4th down in the game, and their defense was huge in this game for them as well. And I don't know how this is going to go because I don't know if Kelce and Hill are going to be able to return from COVID. They still have this entire week as I'm filming this. And the Steelers, it's tough because they have an aging quarterback in Ben Roethlisberger, and he doesn't help with that offense in his age. And the defense is just hard to tell. Some games, they'll be like the best of the best, and then other times they give up tons of points. Mahomes is starting to figure it out. He's starting to get out of that struggle that he's been in for most of the season. And the Chiefs defense has looked looked better than it has been recently in the past weeks, past years. It's actually stepped up in big situations. So I do think the Chiefs still will be fine, and I think they beat the Steelers 30-20. Seahawks and Bears. My Seahawks lost to the Rams last week, partly because of this BS pass interference that was not called. But whatever, our season has just been painful the entire year. And the Bears, they lost to the Vikings. It seemed like every time they had it in their hands, they dropped it. They're like, oh, well, forget that. And I think that'll happen again this week. It has been like that for the Bears the entire season. Matt Nagy is literally on the hot stove, bro. The hot seat. Sorry, wrong term. Got baseball in my head. But yeah, the hot seat. He's probably not going to be there after this season. The Bears are finding a new way to struggle. And I don't think the Seahawks can fumble the bag with how many times the Bears are going to do that. So with our defense actually looking better than it did earlier in the year, hopefully Russell Wilson returns to the Russell Wilson I know and does good against the Bears this week. I think the Seahawks win 24-17. Jaguars and Jets. Do we really care about this matchup? They both lost last week, and I think this week the Jets will beat the Jaguars 24-17. Broncos and Raiders. The Broncos lost to the Bengals last week. They did lose Teddy Bridgewater in that game. He was carted off the field. And the Raiders, they looked like they had the game lost, and they got another opportunity. Got a game-winning field goal from Carlson. And this week, without Teddy B going to Drew Lock, I think, for Denver, I don't think this Denver offense will succeed. The Raiders are trying to not let their season just slip off the edge of the cliff as they do in previous years. And I think they'll be able to keep it alive, keep their playoff hopes strong here against the Broncos. The defenses look good for the Broncos recently, but I just don't think with the injury of Teddy B and Drew Lock coming in, a guy that has played before, but I just don't trust him. And I do like Derek Carr running that offense better. So give me the Raiders winning 27-17. Cowboys and football team. The football team lost to the Eagles last week, and the Cowboys, they beat the Giants. Their defense did good for them in that game, and I think that's going to be the case for this game. Dak Prescott has not looked like the MVP he was earlier in the season. He's been struggling of late, but with the defense performing so well, they have saved him many times, and I think that'll be the case this week. They'll probably save him again. They'll probably have another great display, and Dak will just do the bare minimum, and they'll be fine. I think it'll be a big game for Zeke. They'll probably try and get him more involved, try and take a little pressure off Dak, and I think the Cowboys win 31-20. Dolphins and Saints. The Dolphins lost to the Jets last week. Not a hard team to beat. And the Saints, they beat the Buccaneers. That is a hard team to beat, and it's hard to shut them out, which they also did. I think with the Dolphins being on a hot streak, Taysom Hill in there, and they're not really sure which weapon they want to rely on with Kamara, their receivers, Taysom Hill. They're just trying to figure it out. And I think with the hot streak Miami's riding, I think a 6-game win streak, that's going to continue. I think both defenses will give up a ton of points, but I think Tua and the Dolphins come out on top in this one, beating the Saints 30-24. If you made it to the end of this video, Kleschka Crew, I want you to comment, Austin makes Javi a first-round exit, because he talks so much smack.
And it is so annoying.
So now that I have ended his championship hopes, please let him know. Like the video, subscribe. We're almost at 200K. It would be amazing if we could hit it before the new year. We are so close. Please. I got this. You got this. We all got this. And I'll see you next time.